Greetings, metaphysicians. This is episode 175, Psychological Repair. I think you're going to enjoy this one. You can actually specifically ask and dedicate this process to particular issues that you are dealing with, and it will help you to resolve them. It's pretty powerful, and I go ahead and share some of my experiences along with other people's testimonials in this episode. Enjoy.
You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed. It should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discernment, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn from this show. The statements and advice offered in this podcast are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition, and are not substitutes for prudent medical care offered by licensed medical professionals. References to healing or treatments in this episode are describing faith-based blessings performed by God and the master healing angels. Neither this episode nor any part of it may be copied, transcribed, distorted, sold, republished, or distributed without first receiving the express written permission of both the CMA International Foundation and Up and Awaken Productions.
Let's get meta.
Welcome to the Let's Get Metaphysical podcast. I'm your host, Renata Maniaci. Here to remind you, you are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience here on lovely planet Earth. That's right, on some level, you chose to incarnate here, even if you don't remember. Enjoy it. This is Season 8, Angelic Reformation, and this is episode 175, Psychological Repair. This season is all about the body of knowledge known as Angelic Reformation, as well as a close look at each of its tools. Angelic Reformation is what we call the tools, processes, and rapid spiritual development work that has been presented through the teacher, Master John Douglas, by his companions, the Master Angels. It is about the evolution of your consciousness without the use or necessity of outside substances and other interventions. Angelic Reformation is about restructuring one's consciousness from being comprised of earthly human constructs towards one's universal divine structures containing the truth of all matter, all while still in a human body. It is a set of spiritual development tools that anyone can choose to use alongside any existing spiritual practice, religion, or tradition, if desired. Why a whole season about this? Well, the purpose of this podcast, in part, is to encourage a deeper understanding of the invisible and unseen world that nonetheless affects us as intimately as the visible and seen aspects. After 9 years of using the tools of Angelic Reformation, I have found that each tool has helped me to gain a deeper and truer understanding of the unseen and unknown influences affecting us, positively or negatively, all the time, be they energetic, microbial, demonic, parasitic, angelic, or otherwise. It is these tools in this body of knowledge that has helped me to see the unseen and know the unknown in ways I didn't realize were possible before my path converged with this one. If you have not yet listened to the first 2 episodes of this season, please go ahead and listen to episode 168, Angelic Reformation, and episode 169, The Evolution of Consciousness, before listening into this one. It will provide needed context for what we are talking about. Now, if you are ready, then let's get meta. Master Angels, I humbly request your presence, guidance, and support through this episode. Please help these words to be useful to all listeners on their evolutionary journey. Let me know the truth, speak the truth, become the truth, and be the truth. and please let this episode reach whoever needs to hear it. Thank you with full faith. Bless creation. Today we are talking about the psychological repair process, or psych repair for short. And just to remind everyone, a process in this context is an MP3, kind of like an audio meditation. There are currently 15 processes in the array of tools that make up angelic reformation, ranging in length from 3 minutes to an hour. Like all angelic reformation tools, psych repair is another one that helps us realize just how much of the unseen world is affecting us. In this case, our own thoughts, mental limitations, and even passed down generational beliefs, and more. Here's the description of the psych repair process direct from the website where it can be purchased at globalcma.org. Help and guidance make a big difference with challenges, tests, and trials in life. Clearing mental limitations, psychological limitations, and positively influencing the subconscious mind can help deal with difficult situations, manifest answers, and develop actions in line with divine will for the best possible outcomes. With faith, all things are possible. The mind should be tuned to deal with issues or challenges being faced so that answers can come naturally. Suggestions for use. Listen to psychological repair directed prayer actively, or play the process quietly in the background. This process is part of the loop. What is the loop? The loop consists of the MP3 process's location repair, spirit repair, and psychological repair, played on repeat in the background with little or no volume. Many people keep the loop on them and repeat it 24/7. I do this. I keep one in my home. I often use one when I'm out and about. In doing so, you're protected and rebuilt and transformed as you go throughout your day and the spaces and people around you. These 3 MP3 processes are specifically designed to give you 100% of the benefit of their highly technical and advanced healing processes, even while they play in the background. Now, before I go ahead and share my own experience with this process, I'm going to play a few testimonials from people who use psych repair regularly.
Hi there, my name is Ida from Virginia, and I would love to do a testimonial on psychological repair. Truly one of the most miraculous processes out there. And I love it because there is a section where you open yourself up to full faith and surrender and ask the master angels for help on anything you're dealing with. And I remember I was driving and I was dating this guy, and we had something. I got triggered earlier in the week, and I was kind of thinking about it in the car while I was driving, and I just went down a very negative spiral of thoughts, just like all of these thoughts, like really, really negative. It got negative really fast. He's cheating on me. It was just so much anger and so much sadness was coming up. And we only dated for a couple months. Nothing crazy happened, but this trigger really, made me kind of go down a dark path and just think about all these negative things in the middle of, my drive. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is not good. And so I put on the psychological repair CD as I was driving, as I needed some help. And in the silent part, I asked the master angels, please, master angels, can you please help me? I'm thinking all these negative thoughts. And they whispered to me, they're not your thoughts. Let them go. And I said, well, whose thoughts are they? And they said, they're your ancestors. You inherited it. It's not yours. And I just said, please, masters and angels, disempower and remove all these negative thoughts from me. They're not mine. Transmute it all into love and return it back to God's center. And immediately throughout the process, I just felt complete relief. And I just couldn't even believe it. I just started thanking them so much. And I was just completely healed of those thoughts. And that is just, one way of healing. And sometimes, the thoughts may come at the second. Sometimes they come later. But if you open yourself up and have full trust and faith, you will hear the messages and you will get their help. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Barbara, and I'm sharing this testimony from Southern Utah. I was first introduced to Master John's healing processes many years ago. The process psychological repair was the first of many that I immediately knew I needed to listen to. As soon as I started listening to psychological repair, I could feel the work being done on me, and my reactive tendencies were the first of many behaviors that began to improve. It felt like my mind was being organized and reorganized to having more coherence and peace. Psychological repair has been so valuable in launching me into a more settled state of consciousness. I'm deeply grateful for all the tools that Master John has provided, and psychological repair started it all for me.
Hi, I'm Leslie Goldstein. I live in Fairfield, Iowa, and I would like to share my experience with psychological repair. It's actually one of my most favorite processes because it's so practical and it's so sublime at the same time. I have a very busy life and so many responsibilities, and it really, really helps me because sometimes there's just some procrastination, there's some mental tension, there can be a little anxiety, some doubts, even some lack of self-confidence, anticipating all the things that have to get done. And I find when I listen to psychological repair, it just helps to dissolve and remove all of that. It's like it just poof, it disappears. And when I'm in the situation and I just notice that, wow, this is going so super fluidly, this is going so simply. And I realize that something amazing has happened, and it's just kind of gotten rid of all that noise, all that chaos that was there in my mind, or inhibiting me to just have, progressive action at that moment. So I really love that. And the other thing I absolutely love about psychological repair is there's this moment where Master John reminds us to be aware of the bodhisattvas and master angels surrounding us. And at that moment, my heart just expands and I just kind of fall into this beautiful place of surrender and humility and knowingness that the master angels are not just something I intellectually know that they're around me, but I actually experience their presence. And it's so beautiful. And it just makes me so full of love and so blissed out. So thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Alexandra. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I wanted to send in a testimonial about psychological repair. And so I've had a lot of different miracles with all the processes. With psychological repair specifically, it really helped me when I was in college because I struggled with insomnia and couldn't fall asleep before 4 a.m. most nights. When I would listen to psychological repair before bed and would listen to it as I was falling asleep, I was able to break that habit and get on more of a normal sleeping schedule. And I haven't had that intense of insomnia since. My sister, also, who's relatively new to the tools and processes, used psychological repair during her college years as well, especially in her final year as a senior in nursing school. A lot of the classes were particularly hard. She wanted to round out her college career with good grades, but would oftentimes get very anxious about it. And so she created a routine where she would listen to the processes, specifically psychological repair, as often as she needed to combat the test anxiety and performance anxiety associated with doing well on her tests, and ended up ending out her college career with a very high GPA and straight A's her senior year. So it's a tool that benefits all ages, all people, and I'm very blessed that we have access to such an amazing blessing.
Another big thank you to all who shared their experiences with us for this episode. I wanted to share a bit more about my own experiences with psych repair. And as I stated before, I have this process in the loop going on in my home all the time. And I also play the loop when I go out. It's on my phone, and it's just something that is habit for me now. I especially make sure that I have the loop on when I travel. Despite having first heard this process 9 years ago, I really started realizing what it is capable of last year. Before then, I rarely actively listened to it, like sat and just listened to it out loud like I would with other processes. Because I knew that while it was on the loop, I was getting 100% of the benefit of it by playing it all the time in my home or wherever I went, like I said. However, last year, I realized that one of the things that is unique about this particular process is there is a space for you to ask for specific help with a challenge, test, or question needing guidance. And just to be clear, I knew that before, but I never took advantage of it. I didn't use it for any specific reason, any specific issue that I wanted to work on and better myself in a certain way or eliminate a certain way of thinking, etc. But I started using it last year for specific things. I have, like many people, I think, in the planet, not fully and 100% loved every aspect of my body. And so the thought came in at one point, why don't I try using psychological repair and dedicating each time I listen to it actively to removing any negative thoughts or beliefs or any negativity at all that I have towards my own physical body, and replace that with the exact positive feelings so that I can fully love all of my physical body. So this is a very personal thing that I have been using psych repair for, but it's worked. It's kind of astounding. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised after all this time, but my perceptions about the areas that were hard for me to love about my body have shifted in a huge way since I've been doing this. Now, it's not like I do this every day. I could. If I did it every day, I would probably be completely done and not need to do this anymore. I do it about once a week now. I've kind of gotten into the habit of doing psych repair and dedicating it to this particular issue once a week, along with when I do subconscious repair and astrological repair once a week, which we will get to astrological repair at some point later in this season. But that's all to say, my relationship with my body has changed. And it's not like, whatever, I don't need to go into such personal detail. There's just a few things that have always kind of irked me about my physical form. And this process is helping me to reverse that. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so interested that it took me this long to actually use the process like this. Now, I know a number of people who use this process specifically for very particular issues, personal, specific to them issues about how their mind works. And you heard about some of that in the testimonials just before. But even using this process, if you have a recurring thought about a person, for example, or a certain fear coming up, or certain images playing in your head, even I've heard people using this if they have recurring dreams or nightmares. There's a portion in this process where you can specifically, in your mind or out loud, ask them for help with the specific thing you need help for, as I've been doing. And it has really, really been useful for people. So yes, you're getting 100% of the benefit when you're listening to it actively and on silent, but it can be dedicated to very specific things. And it could take one time and it could just simply disappear. I've seen that happen. And it could take a little bit more time if something is deeply ingrained. These certain beliefs and feelings I have about, or had, I guess, about specific areas of my body had been deeply ingrained in me from my whole life. So it's taking a little bit more time. It was not a one and done with me. But it's changing. I don't think I'm going to have to dedicate this process to that specific issue very much longer at all. I would say that it's 95% resolved. And that's probably after, 20 or less times specifically dedicating it to this thing, which again was deeply ingrained for me my whole life. So you could ask for help with this process for a specific thing that's coming up for you, and it could only take the one time. And I've seen that happen in myself too. Asking forgiveness for somebody to get rid of thoughts that are nagging at you about a specific person or a specific situation that happened that just won't stop. This process, just listening to it one time, can get rid of those things. I also think that I've underestimated the tremendous good of having had it play on silent for all these years, that all of that time has done for me. I used to think all the time. My brain would never turn off. So much so, when I was young, I could not go to sleep. My brain would just keep going. And I had to find a hack as a young child of listening to books on tape. Well, it was on tape back then. It's not on tape now. To be able to sleep, to give my mind something else to pay attention to kind of trick my mind into letting my body sleep. Anyways, that's just to say that I used to think all the time. And I don't need to do that anymore to sleep. But more than that, I'm not thinking all the time. And now that I'm doing this episode, it's coming in that I believe psych repair has changed me in way more ways than I realize, just having played it on silent this whole time for the last 9 years. There's a lot of ways that you can use this, and it's cool that psych repair gives you that space within the process itself to state what it is you actually specifically want to work on. There is another process that does that, and that's called health repair, where you can say exactly what you would like the master angels to work on for you in the context of the health repair process. And we will also get to that process later in this season. And again, this transformation and change is brought about by listening to this 14-minute process or playing it on silent. Wherever you go, you are just pressing play and listening. It's almost too easy. I wanted to just talk about that for a minute. It's almost incomprehensible that playing something, pressing play on something can change you so much, can reform your consciousness, can do untold number of unseen processes, but no less real and true processes to help develop you and your consciousness in your life. It almost is incomprehensible. And I realized I'm kind of talking about it pretty blasé, like, okay, today we're talking about psych repair, and last time we talked about spirit repair, and at one point we talked about the food disc, which literally kills negative bacteria that's in things that you ingest in your food and even your pharmaceuticals and your liquids. I realize that I'm talking about it like it's just normal because it is normal to me. My life has shifted and adjusted that this is my reality. This is my normal. But it came in yesterday that it's incomprehensible. And if I talk about it in such a blasé way, people who are listening might not get it. Get that these are huge miracles that occur nonstop as you press play or as you use a disc on your food, or as we'll get to in the next few episodes, on your body. It's actually happening, but it seems so easy that it's also easy to take for granted and to forget what it's actually doing, that it's actually a miracle every time that I listen to this kind of process. So I just wanted to acknowledge that for you for this episode, and just acknowledge that, yeah, you just press play and this happens. It does. That is true. But it's a big deal. And I talk about it so nonchalantly because I'm used to it. But maybe I shouldn't be used to it because it's a miracle every single time. It's a compact, time-bound spiritual technology given to us by the Master Angels through the teacher, Master John Douglas, and it's available to anyone. And for psych repair in particular, you could be doing good not just for yourself, but also for those around you as you play the process on silent, since it's one of the ones where you get 100% of the benefit by listening to it on silent. Like the other processes, psych repair costs $150. It never stops working and is continually added to and updated when appropriate by the Master Angels without needing to purchase another. And also, when you do purchase psych repair, it also includes a link to a more in-depth talk called Hidden Depths of Subconscious Repair and Psychological Repair of Master John Douglas explaining the process and what it does, which I highly recommend listening to. Master John is the living conduit, bringing these spiritual technologies from the Master Angels into physical form. So there is no better person to hear from regarding the proper use of these tools. I am going to leave it there for today. In the next few episodes, we are going to talk about a few more of the repair discs, not unlike the food repair disc from a previous episode. We will continue with the body repair disc in our next episode. If you are interested in looking into these tools or finding out more, visit globalcma.org. And I'm sharing these tools because I've used them for almost a decade, and my life has transformed in unfathomable ways because of them. People can take that or they can leave that. This isn't a journey for everyone, but it is available to anyone interested. As always, thank you for listening. Stay positive, stay safe, and stay meta.
The Let's Get Metaphysical podcast is an Up, and Awaken production and is produced and hosted by Renata Maniaci. Our intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by sharing, validating, and normalizing spiritual and metaphysical experiences. The Let's Get Meta podcast is inspired by angels and supported by angels. If you would like to be a patron angel of the podcast, visit patreon.com/letsgetmeta. Thank you for listening. Stay meta.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.